Okay, now we can go. Right. Okay. Mm. Let's begin with quite a strong physical stretch upwards. And to do that, if you put the feet together, find the feet on the ground, we're going to lift the crown of the head, but at the same time, we're going to open up the palms of the hands and push downwards. We're going to lift up the sternum, drop the chin and push the crown of the head up. And what we want to do is kind of stretch the body upwards and without holding it, I'm going to get to the top of that stretch and then release everything and feel ourselves settle back into the feet. So here we go. We're going to open up the palms. We're going to push quite strongly down, lift the sternum, lift the crown of the head, feel the stretch, and then soften. And feel everything sinking down. We arrive in our standing posture. Do it a few times. Stretch up and release. Really feel how when you release, the whole body settles into the feet. So when you push up, you feel your legs tighten and pushing up to the crown of the head. When you soften the muscles, everything settles in and we instantly arrive in that loose, balanced, upright seaweed place we're looking for. But one more time, we stretch and we soften. Immediately finding that elongated place where the body and the muscles are softening off the bones. We end up in that place where we're balanced. We don't feel stable because we're locked. We feel stable because we're able to change. This is key to Tai Chi, and one of the Tai Chi contradictions, if you like. We're stable, but we're also very, very loose. We'll open up to parallel stance. And we want to try and find the same quality of looseness, even though now our base is much broader. So we should be more stable because our base is broader, but we want to find the same looseness in the ankles. And the stability comes from being able to change and rebalance and realign, not because we're holding on, not because we dropped our center of gravity, but because we've aligned and loosened. There's a very different feel in the body. When we lift, we activate the muscles of the thighs. And when we release the thighs, with it, the lower back. When we're trying to refine that place where we're very, very loose, like from the seaweed, not the place where we're stuck on the ground and strong. Strong through being loose. The legs activate. And as soon as we stop lifting, gravity starts to press us back down. We soften the muscles. And we sink back down. And make sure that when we go down, we only go down to the same place we started. We don't go down further. If we go down further, we're going to condense the ankles, in particular, condense the ankles, which we don't want to do. So we make a mental note of what it feels like to be in our connected position where we're very loose. We're going to lift up, and we're going to return to it. And not go lower. We're going to lift, release to return to it. And I can almost bet you that returning to it is a higher posture than you would have done before, because normally when we take a long time to sink, we go too low. So we start in a connected, loose position. That's how we qualify if we're in the right condition, if we're at the right height, if we're in the right posture, is that our body is very, very loose and fluid and just like a frond of seaweed. And then we lift and we return to it. No longer, no tighter, nice and loose. One more time, we lift. As soon as we stop lifting, we release it. All the flesh is falling off the bones, away from the crown of the head, and unlightly settled on the feet. Grounded but loose, shaking out. When we take a bow stance, say wood or black, we want the same feeling that if a wind would blow through the room, my body would sway. I don't want to be hard and stable and strong in the posture. I want to be loose and light and nimble and rebalancing in the posture so the ankle's very loose. And when I issue, I sink down in the posture and settle. And when I rebound, back leg opens up, back knee opens up and expand. I want to make sure I'm loose in that posture. Holding the ball, hold upright. Step in, square. When I square and sink, I want to make sure that my ankles are tight, because I don't drop to a place that's too strong, that's too held. I want to fall into a place from which I can easily rebound. I'm just going to play with holding the ball, the first move of the fall, sinking in, turn to the corner, step left, glide in, released in, rebound. Just making sure that as I go into the posture, I'm not too held. My joints are not too strong. My ankles are not too condensed. I haven't gone down too far. My thigh muscles are not locked, so that I can sink in and rebound. Just playing with this one move into ward upright. Exploring where my posture is in relation to the ground, so I don't go down too far. In the sinking down and connecting down, I don't lock the muscles, so I can rebound. Going toward upright, same thing. In the sinking down, in the connecting into the posture, I don't drop down and lock the ankles. So when I rebound, like a very loose axle, very loose axle in the hips. The rebound from the back leg turns the hips. So when the back leg expands, it turns the hips. For a wheel to turn on one side, the other side needs to be loose in order to have somewhere to go. So when this hip is going to turn this way, from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, this hip has to allow that movement to take place. This hip has to be folding and softening. So when my back knee expands and moves this hip to the corner, this hip is allowed to turn. So the muscles here have to be very loose so that this expansion can turn. So holding the ball, exploring our centrally stable posture, how low we go, how pressed onto the ground we are. It doesn't contravene our accuracy of the posture, We're still stable, but we're very loose and buoyant. We can still expand the muscles. We glide in. When we release, we don't go down too far, just enough to sink through the body. When we expand the back knee, we soften front hip to be able to turn the waist. Have a little play. And I want to explain tonight a little bit about the back leg expansion for the issue and how that works in the mechanics of the form. Have a little play with that section first. Yeah. Good. There are words that Wikijin uses, and words are useful, but they can also mean different things to different people. So we need to kind of unpack some of the words and some of their. He uses two words. One word is loading. When you come into the center, there's a quality of loading. And the other word he uses is rebounding. And took quite a while for me to kind of realize that loading doesn't mean heaviness, right? Because normally when we think of loading, you've got to load yourself up with a sack of potatoes, and or you load the back of a van up and you see the back of the van go down with the weight. It's not that sort of loading. Okay? And rebounding isn't the same sort of rebound that you get on a trampoline. So the rebound you get on a trampoline is for the amount of force you put down, you almost get the same back because the skin's very soft. The rebound is almost like the spring you get in sprung steel, in that you bend a piece of steel and when you let it go, it doesn't go boing, 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 boing. You bend a piece of steel, and when you let it go, it just does a little bit. You bend it a long way, it takes a lot of force. When you let it go, it just comes back a little bit. That's more like how the muscles work. And the rebound is much more akin to that than it is akin to trying to find the opposite of where we went into it. So when I come into the center, I'll do it this way then. I'm letting my body weight fall through the body. So we've done this a lot of times in the second loosening exercise, for example. I let my legs change and soften. The muscles in the legs soften over the four swings of the arms. That allows the upper body into the legs. It's the changing of the muscles that allows the weight through to the ground. So when I come into the center here, I must make sure that both legs, just like the loosening exercise, both legs are softening and releasing and receiving my body weight. When I come forwards from the back leg, I must make sure that both legs are receiving my body weight. However, what I don't want to do is load the body and get into a strong position from which I do something active. I want to sink into a position from which I feel very loose and very fluid. And the clue is what we do when we stand like this, with a very narrow, small base, with the feet at 90 degrees, with the heels touching, how loose I am, and how released I am, and how fluid the whole posture is. If I can find that in a parallel stance, I've got an indication that my body weight isn't pressing me onto the ground too hard. if I can find that in a bow stance, then I know that's what I'm looking for. So when I draw back, I'm gliding back, I'm not going down until my front leg is straight, but not locked. And when I go forward, both legs release. The lower back releases, and I settle down into a posture where I feel very fluid and loose. This is important. 50-50 posture, very loose and fluid. Let's just play with that. Sitting back, level, and then moving down and forwards, no more than an inch. No more than an inch. The ankles are not tight. And then in the center, a very small expansion of the back knee, and at the same time, a release into the front leg. So the expansion from the back leg has to go somewhere. It goes down into the front leg. The front leg releases. Let's play with the fifth loosening exercise. You draw back. You loosen and draw down. Both legs receiving the body weight. This is the loading, not the strong loading of the whole body weight pressing onto the ground tight, not the sort of loading from which you can then do something active. You're releasing. The loading is blending with gravity and allowing yourself to press onto the ground until you're very loose. The rebound is a very, very small activation of the back leg, and at the same time sinking into the front leg with no forward movement. So you're coming up an inch, you're drawing back, staying level, you're dropping down and forwards, and you're coming up an inch as you assume. You're coming up an inch as you assume. Draw back, you sink down. Move expand. The hardest thing for me was that when I came down forwards into the center, my front leg would stop me moving. My front leg was like a brake. So moving forwards, the tension in my front thigh and the pushing back of my front leg meant there was a tension in the body. The front leg needs to open out and release to receive the body's weight downwards. In that letting go, you mustn't go down too low. You're gliding back, you're falling in, and without stopping, as soon as you reach the center, you're expanding the back leg. Have a little play, please, without the arms, just the legs, so you can focus on what the legs are doing. Whatever movement you make, it mustn't lock up the ankles, whatever movement you make. So the movement back mustn't lock up the back ankle. You will definitely feel more pressure of the body's weight because you're putting 90% of your body weight over the back leg. And when you move forwards, you will definitely feel an increase in body weight coming into the front leg. But you mustn't let that weight lock up your ankles. You mustn't let that weight. You mustn't move in, forwards and down against unchanging muscles. Every time your body moves and the muscles don't change, that movement will press them into a tighter position. Every time you move, your muscles need to change and loosen to allow you to keep moving fluidly. So the exploration, if you like, or the question will be, how low do I need to move, go towards? How can I keep the muscles changing the whole time? And what does it feel like to be like a frond of seaweed, even though I've got a different type of base than when my heels are together? How can I feel very, very loose in that position? Because if you move yourself into a tight position, you won't be able to rebound. A rebound comes because the muscles are loose. It doesn't come from a tight muscle, and it doesn't come from an activation. For a training method, we lightly activate the back leg, and over time, we aim to minimize that activation completely. Completely means 100%. When you fire a bow, you don't push the arrow out. All you do is stretch the bow and let go. When you move in, you will be stretching the muscles of the leg. To unstretch the muscles, you simply let go. Let go means you have to sink into the front leg. The letting go of the bow is the release of the fingers. Release of the arrow shaft is the release of the arrow. You've already got the stretch. The release of the stretch in the back leg is the softening of the front leg. That's the trigger. The front hip joint and the release in the front leg is the trigger which allows the back leg to expand. For a long time, we activate the back leg, deliberately activate the back leg so that we associate the issuing with changes in the back leg. We associate the issuing force coming from the ground through the sensations in the back leg. So the back leg is active or changing the whole time we issue. After a while, we just soften the front leg and the back leg activates itself. The trigger is the front leg releasing. So you're getting all my goodies tonight. You're getting my understanding of the issuing of the force in the base. I have to bring it into the upper body, but the first thing is to get it happening in the base. And it took me a long time to work out how to organize the body to be able to issue properly. To let force move through the body, not make the body use force. I'm still working on it, I have to admit, but much clearer. And I don't pass on anything that I don't think I understand well enough. Patrick always used to say, don't teach anything until you've been doing it at least 2 years. And I think that's really good advice, because your understanding of it changes over time, and your understanding of forces of movement, of loosening, of rebound, of loading, all change over time. So we need to put this into the arms. We need to somehow work out how what we're doing in the base comes through to the upper body. Well, the upper body and the lower body are like a chain, connected. The model I like to use is the Newton's cradle. You know those silver balls hanging on threads? When one ball drops and it touches the other four, the force goes out at the end, and you get this kind of, you know, those toys or physics toys. All those balls are free to move, and all those balls are touching. Okay. Key thing that makes the Newton's cradle work is the balls are free to move, and the balls are touching. So the parts of our body likewise have to be connected. Parts of our body have to be connected. Then we ask the question, so how do we connect the body? Because it looks like it's connected anyway. So we ask the question, what disconnects the body? Why would the body not be connected? When our muscles are tight or held or not changing, this disconnects parts of the body from the next part. So think of the body like a ball. Think of parts of the body floating on anything underneath it, like a boat on water. When the waves move, the boat moves with it. So my shoulder girdle floats on my rib cage. If the muscles are held, it doesn't float anymore. It's being held up by those muscles. So the degree that I can loosen my muscles is the degree to which the weight of my shoulder girdle can blend with gravity and press and float onto my rib cage. And it's the same for every other part of the body. So the degree to which my torso sits into my pelvis is to do with the muscles, mainly of the psoas and of the hip joints, which is why they say seat the hip joints, release the lower back that allows my torso to press into my hips and connect. This is the connection I'm looking for, which is why the structural postures of the form are really important, because they teach you how to connect the body into itself, onto the ground, like a stack of piled tiles. For all those parts of the body, the base, the torso, the shoulder girdle, the head, the arms, all connected into each other from the ground upwards. So those are like the balls in a Newton cradle, and the force can flow through them. So what am I looking for? I can only feel sensations in the body. I have to differentiate between when a muscle is tight or active and when a muscle is flaccid or loose. Too loose and I lose the structure, too tight and I'm holding tension. Another taiji contradiction. I have to find the sensation of the muscles somewhere in between that is neither holding nor too loose. Loose enough to allow the body weight to press me onto the ground. Not too loose that I lose the structure. So some structure is important, and then looseness of the bones. So when I stand in bow stance, we stand in a bow stance, ward off right, the structure becomes really important, because I'm not just looking for a posture that's called ward off right. I'm looking for a sensation that connects my body onto the ground and into itself. When I come into ward off right, I'm not just looking for the inches, which is where the body, the hand is at the center of the base of the throat, the elbow is one span from the body, the hips are straight forward, the center line is between the legs. All these are basic outer dimensions that need to be correct. But what I'm truly looking for, especially at this level of training, is that the body is connected. And the clues are that I'm very, very loose. Because when I'm held and my muscles are tight, I'm not loose. So the clue is that I feel very, very, very loose. Okay, I could almost fall over at any time. I'm not going to fall over because I've got a nice wide stance. But when I put my feet together, there's a chance I could wobble and fall over. I want the same feeling here. So when we stand in ward off left, I want the ankles to be so loose that they're fluid. I want the whole body to feel like it's hanging from a thread, both plucked up and the muscles falling off the bones. So Olivia, you do realise, because you won't be with us for 6 months, that I'm giving you enough practice to work with for 6 months. By the time we see you again in the autumn or your spring, you'll have had time to work with these important things, which is why I'm going through them thoroughly tonight and not specifically working with postures. We'll have a look at my time. We may do a little work on posture in a minute. Postures of the thought. Quality of posture and not accuracy from the outside, organization, center line, not on the front foot, not on the back foot, right in the middle. Feet opened out, so the outside edges are also engaged. Lower back open and hips seated, posture not too low. Sternum raised and chin dropped. Flesh falling off the bones. Elbows heavy, as if water could trickle off the elbow and drip. Elbows low. Okay. Elbows low basically means shoulders seated. It's got nothing to do with the elbow. Where the elbow sits is to do with what we do with the shoulder. Where the elbow sits is to do with the shoulder releasing, not anything to do with the elbow whatsoever. The elbow becomes heavy because the whole shoulder knuckle is soft. Because the muscles in the back allow the shoulder blade to drop downwards and connect. Connected posture. Then, when we sink and load and rebound, it turns the hips. And in the turning, I'm still loose and I'm still fluid. Let's go through the form to cross hands. In Taiji, they use an expression and another word, another word, body mind. What the hell is body mind? Right? Body mind. Yeah, this, that, the other, body mind. What is body mind? My first teacher used to use it all the time. When we stand, we need to listen and pay very close attention to what's going on in the body. And just like a meditation, we have an anchor, and the anchor is the body sensations. The anchor is the sensations of the body. We place our awareness like a hand that's sticking, like a sticking hand, onto the body sensations. And we don't let our awareness drift away. We don't let our awareness wander onto any other thought. And if it does go to another thought, no problem. We just bring it back onto the body sensations. And the stronger this quality of sticking of our attention or our focus of awareness onto the body sensations, the stronger this glue, if you like, between intent to stay present with the body sensations. Deeper chance we have of noticing moment by moment what's going on. If our mind's running off, onto whatever story we have, pain, boredom, past, future, dreams, disassociation, any of the emotions, whatever thought comes away from the body sensations, invite it back. Be kind, and invite it back to your body sensations. Then you're resting with body-mind. The beginnings of body-mind is awareness. From awareness, we send intention into the body to do something, to change. And the first change is bending the knees and taking the weight to both feet. Halfway through that movement, we shift to the right foot. We slowly pour the weight into the right foot, so the left is free. This intention to change is the beginning of the form. The first part of the form is just resting, becoming present with our body sensations. When we're ready, we send an intention to bend the knees. This is the beginning of the form. And this intention continues all the way until we arrive back at attention posture again, at the end of the form. We're going to come off, come back on, come back off, come back on, come back off, come back on. Our mind's going to wander. We're going to think about things. We're going to think about individual parts of the body. We're going to go to the future. We're going to stay in the past. Somehow we weave our way through the form and come back to being complete again at the end. We start at the beginning by placing our mind and our awareness on the body sensations. Especially the muscle changes. Structure and the muscle changes, lifting up and falling away. At the same time, both same time, plucking up and falling away. Not one nor the other, but both together. Start when you're ready with the knees. Muscle changes that allow you to bend the knees. Halfway down, take it to the right foot, 100%. And re-establish, plucking up and falling away. So you're very, very loose and not pressed onto the ground. Very, very loose in the ankles. Strong wave of intention to tell the muscles to lift. And intention to tell the muscles to change and release. Sink into the center. Make sure you're not too low. Make sure you're upright. Make sure your crown of your head is plucked up. Make sure the muscles are falling off the bones. Expand the back leg, sink to the front. Turn to the corner. Lie there. Square the posture. Sink and expand. Glide in. Square the posture. Make sure you're plucked up. Make sure your muscles are falling off the bones. Make sure your body's connected. Make sure you're nice and loose. Expand the back leg, sink the front, turn the hips. Turn back. Draw back. Make sure you stay level. And you sit back until you're 90% in the back leg. and your front leg is straight. Turn, open the door, close the door. Sink forwards, don't let your front leg block your movement. Both legs draw down, but not so low that your ankles collapse. Fall away from the crown of the head, let the muscles fall off the bones. Press. All the time your arms are going out, your back leg is expanding, your front leg is sinking. Go back until your front leg is straight but not locked. Only when you come forward do your hands separate because your shoulders are sinking. Following the sinking of the body, and release, expand, rebound fingertips. Sit away from the fingers, the hands are parallel, open up and flat. Turn. Smooth turning as you move the weight to the right foot. Turn clockwise. Turn anti-clockwise, lifting the left fingers and the right wrist, sliding the toes, step out for single whip. Find the center, release, but don't press onto the ground, and expand the back leg. When I say press onto the ground, not hard. Of course, the weight presses through your body into the ground, but you don't lock yourself onto the ground. Forward and turn, scoop, lift hands. Open the door, close the door. Step to the corner. Make sure your ankles aren't condensed. Small expansion from the back leg turns the hips. And then keep turning as you move on to the front foot. Like crane spread wings. Open the door, close the door. Don't down too far, look for the place where you're very loose but stable, able to change. Release the back knee, sink to the front. Drop onto the left. Find the back foot. Hold it up. Open the door, close the door. Lie in. Release. Press onto the ground lightly and expand. Go back. Make sure you fall away from the crown of the head. Locked up, flesh falling off the bones. Expand to punch. Sit back until the front leg is straight, 90% in the back leg. The hands separate as you turn them over and sink in. Small expansion to the fingers, fall back, turn. Sink to the left foot, the hands open up, drop the hands. As the hands cross, step right. Turn the hands over. Turn open the left foot. Walk onto the right. Turn back and come up. Sinking flesh off the bone. That's the very short form, which is just up to cross hands. That's the shortest version of the form. Any thoughts or observations or questions or responses to tonight's class? Tonight's class a little bit different. Explanations tonight. Any how does that strike you? in terms of your practice, how you practice at the moment, if you noticed anything, any takeaways from this evening?
Yeah, I think the emphasis on relaxing into the front foot rather than just pushing off from the back, it feels different.
Okay, great.
Focusing on that rather than, stretching the back leg.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot for me to play with there, to work on.
Yeah, sure. The think of the sinking into the front leg as a trigger that enables you to release the back. Because the force from the back leg has to go somewhere.
Yeah, it's a different way round.
Yeah, it's the opposite way around.
Yeah.
Because normally what we do is we try and get strong in the back leg in order to push the partner or do something with it. And that having the partner in front of us, thinking of it as a push, we're moving towards the push. We think of the back leg as the activity. But sometimes if you've got water in a hose pipe, you need to get the front bit of water out of the way in order for the back bit to move. Yeah, so it's not the pressure of the back water at the back will only go somewhere if the front water moves out the way to allow it to go. So you have to soften the front hip and the front leg. And that allows the force that you've slightly squashed the back leg into to expand. So the loading as you come into the center has got somewhere to unload, basically. Yeah. But it's to bring it into your practice and play with it and see what it means in your own body movement over time.
So Luke, I feel that when I try to move in that way from the back leg to the front leg, that I'm going up a little bit before going down. Do you see what I mean? I'm going up as I go through the center and then softening into the front leg.
Okay, make sure that if the front leg is resisting you in any way, you'll come up and over and then into it. So what you want is when you come from the back leg into the center, both legs allowing you straight down. So the direction from the back leg is down and in. You don't want to come up and over straight and then in. You want to go immediately from the back leg, soften both thighs and let yourself fall in diagonally to the center. So the direction from the back leg, the direction is this, down and in.
Yep.
And in. Not this one. You don't want to go this and in, and you don't want to go down and forwards. You want to kind of fall in. Like you're going down a slide. Like you're going down a slide. But in order to go down a slide, there's no resistance. So the resistance is the muscles of the legs. Because if I don't change them, I'm still. When my muscles are holding or balanced, when the muscles activity balances the weight of my body, I'm still and I'm not moving. So when the muscles change, the body starts to move. But the movement is generated by the release of the muscles, not by pushing the body. If I push the body forwards, I'll go, and the front leg doesn't change, I'll go up and then in. Because there's like I want the front leg releasing, so I go straight in. And that both legs releasing is basically this exercise. But now it's in a different position. And now my center, instead of going straight down, my center is going down and forwards. And the weight shifting between the legs, because what was 90% in the back leg, obviously that 90% turns to 50 as the front leg fills. So I'm changing the weight in my legs, but it's the same quality of muscle change as the second loosening exercise.
Yeah, and it's the same thing whether we move to the front leg or the back leg, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, except when we move backwards, we're not loading the back leg and we're not sinking downwards. So when you move backwards, it's in all, when you move from the front leg to the back leg, it's straight, then down and then up. So you've got this kind of vertical circle thing going on, which isn't a complete round circle, but it's flat, down and then up. Okay, so going back to the back leg, you don't want to go down. So when you sit backwards here, you definitely don't want to be going down because you haven't got much more down to go. You can go down a very small amount, but you don't want to be, how much do you want to go down? Probably no. If you go down in it, let's say, if you go down an inch into the center, as you sit back, you don't want to go down more than 1/4 of an inch.
But there's a softening into the back leg as
So
well.
there's a softening into the back leg, but when we do the third loosening exercise, we don't go down.
Mhm.
Don't drop down. We stay on the level. There's a softening into the leg, but we stay on the same level. There's a release to the thigh and we stay on the same level. When we sit back, we release the thigh and we stay on the same level.
Yep.
I didn't invent this stuff. I'm just doing what I've been shown and what seems to work. I mean, basically, it's body mechanics. What we're doing is we're exploring our own body mechanics. Tai Chi is the vehicle for doing that. And Tai Chi, the rule book of Tai Chi, gives us a very clear chapter by chapter focus to do that with. Otherwise, you don't quite know where to start and how to, how to progress. But someone's fortunately done it for us already. Call it a lineage. Call it a lineage, which is very, very fortunate to be in such a healthy lineage as ours. That has a lot of people still very exploring the boundaries of it. Wiki Jin, Patrick, Paul Fletcher as well, really exploring the boundaries of it. So for them, I'm grateful to. Let's finish off. Let's go from cross hands to snake creeps down to finish off tonight. Wait until your posture feels like seaweed. Don't be content with just standing. Loosen everything. Loosen everything you can. Bring your mind into the body sensations. Soften the muscles. Pluck up the crown of the head and loosen until your ankles are so lifted that they feel loose, not pressed onto the ground, lifted so they feel loose, yet connected. There's a point you're looking for where the body starts to feel loose. Release to the right. Turn. Lift. Turn. 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 Settle in. Expand the back and we soften the front. Draw back, stay level. Open the door. Close the door. Sink forwards. Expand the back, sink front head. Press. Sit back, stay level. Hands separate as you come forward, as the shoulders release. Following the body sinking, expand the back knee, simplify. Draw back, hands level up. Turn. Keep turning as you pass to the right. Keep turning backward. Clockwise as you drop the left hand under the knee. Then turn clockwise, anti-clockwise. Lift the left fingers, slide into toes, step out. Single whip to hop past tap into the center, expand the back knee. Sit away from the fingers. Turn. Turn back, step left. Step right, move on to the right foot, still sinking until everything's fully on the right foot. Turn and jack. Punch under elbow. Open the door. Close the door. Step left. Sit straight back. Open the door. Close the door. Step. Sit straight back. Second on the right. Open. Close. Step left. Sit straight back. Second on the left. Open. Close. Step right. Into the right foot. Make sure the ankle isn't tight. Turn over. Turn back. Step back. Sit straight. Left. Turn to the corner, drop the hands across the body, step behind. Diagonal fly. Waving hands like clouds, moving forward onto the left, the right foot, turning, holding the ball, change hands, step left, turning, move across the center once. Change hands, step in, turning, twice. Change hands, step left, turning, 3 times. Change hands, step in, 4. Change hands, step left, move across the center, 5. Onto the left foot, step in with the right, change hands, 6. And 7. Turn open the left toes, move on to the left foot. Turn back and swing through. Transverse single whip into the center. Expand the back knee. Release the single whip into the center. Expand the back. Snake creeps down. Sit away from the left hand. Sink the left fingers. Open the left toes and through. Close like that. Good. Have a play with some of those ideas when you have time to, and you know, just see what comes. See if you can find some of those ideas in any of the postures. They're there throughout the form. The internal movement of the postures are there throughout the form. Sometimes easier to find in the loosening exercises than in the form. Form's complicated. See what you can find, see what you can remember, go over the video if some of the detail of tonight is vague. I'll send you the recording tomorrow. Have a good evening, have a good week, and Olivia, we'll see you, I'm sure we'll see you before 6 months is up.
Probably, yeah.
I'm sure we'll see you.
Well, enjoy the spring and the summer.
Yeah, thank you very much. Enjoy your beauty sleep. We'll think of you at 4 o'clock in the morning when we start our class.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Luke. Bye, everyone.
Bye.